Hello and welcome to News Now on TV360 Nigeria. I am Esther Vesi. After more than 6 months into the year, President Muhammadu Buhari has finally signed the 2018 budget into law. The president signed the appropriation bill into law in a brief ceremony at the presidential villa on Wednesday. The 9.1 trillion naira document is the biggest in the country's history. The National Assembly added 500 billion naira to the original 8.6 trillion naira spending plan proposed by Buhari in November 2017. Now, in a speech after signing the document, Buhari expressed displeasure at some of the changes made by the legislature, accusing some lawmakers of budget padding. He also noted that some project costs were reduced by the legislator, which could make it difficult to ensure completion of the projects.
On this project, the provision for various strategic interventions in the health sector, such as the upgrade of some tertiary health institutions, transport and storage of vaccines through the cold chain supply system, provision of anti-retroviral drugs for persons on treatment, establishment of chemotherapy centers, and procurement of dialysis consumables were cut by an aggregate amount of 7.45 billion naira. The provision for security infrastructure in the 104 unity schools across the country were cut by 3 billion naira at a time when securing our students against acts of terrorism ought to be a major concern of government. The provision for the federal government's national housing program was cut by 8.7 billion naira. At a time when we are working with labor to address compensation-related issues, a total of 5 billion naira was cut from the provision for pension redemption fund and public service wage adjustment. The provision for export expansion grant and special economic zone industrial parks, which are key industrialization initiatives of this administration, were cut by a total of 14.5 billion naira. The provision for construction of the terminal building at Enugu Airport was cut from 2 billion naira to 500 million naira, which will further delay the completion of this critical project. The take-up grant for the Maritime University in Delta State, a key strategic initiative of the federal government, was cut from 5 billion naira to 3.4 billion naira. About 70 new road projects have been inserted into the budget of the Federal Ministry of Power, Works and Housing. In doing so, the National Assembly applied some of the additional funds expected from the upward review of the oil price benchmark to the ministry's vote. Regrettably, however, in order to make provision for some of the new roads, the amounts allocated to some strategic major roads have been cut by the National Assembly.
The president said he only signed the budget to ensure the progress of the economy is sustained, but he also noted that he will send an amended budget to the National Assembly. Still on the 2018 budget, some senators who were present at the signing ceremony have reacted to the president's accusation. Now, speaking to newsmen, Senator Bin Bala Naala admitted that some of the president's claims were genuine, but insisted that the National Assembly had nothing to hide.
No, about the issue of delay, the president is right. But at the same time, if you remember, you were here when President had to order some MDS to appear before the National Assembly for the purpose of defending their budget. You see, it's a very delicate issue. If somebody says he wants 500 billion for maintenance of bridges nationwide, and then you expect the National Assembly to say, okay, that budget is approved because it's coming from the executive. We have not done our work. We will be interested in knowing which of the roads are you going to maintain, so that, again, we don't give another allocation in the next budget. Those observations are correct, but in the budgeting process, those things are normal. Nigerians should be happy that we have formally have a budget to run for 2018 budget, and it has been signed today. And then the President had made it clear that it's going to be a build-up on the achievements so far recorded by this administration in impacting positively on the lives of Nigerians. I think this should be what Nigerians should be happy about.
I think some of these major concerns Mr. President has raised are very critical, and I'm afraid if I should be in a position to really respond on behalf of the House. But for me, as an individual and as a member of the House of Representatives, I want to believe that the President is at liberty to raise some of these observations he has raised. But the most important thing you have to note is that the budget is at least now signed by the President. The budget is now law of the Federation, and we expect the executive arm of government to now implement the budget to the latter. Should the President now have other concerns to bring about maybe amendments or some other supplementary budgets for the National Assembly to consider, I think we will at the same time also be at liberty to look at the President's concerns and look at those things that he wants us to now review. And I want to believe the National Assembly is always in a position to work hand in hand with Mr. President. A lot of us in the National Assembly, in both the chambers, I want to assure you, have tremendous respect for Mr. President. We uphold we cherish his moral integrity as a leader, and I want to believe we will always play in tune to his expectations to make him be able to deliver on the dividend of democracy like he has promised, especially in this period that is an election period. Some of us that are in the APC, and even a lot of other members that are even in the opposition, are quite aware of the enormous responsibility on the shoulders of Mr. President. And this is the right time to cooperate with Mr. President and give him what he desires as the leader of the government and deliver on the people's expectation.
Insecurity, a new report by global risk and strategic consulting firm Control Risk, says attacks by Islamic militants are on the rise in sub-Saharan Africa. The report, published on Wednesday, notes that the number of attacks rose from 317 recorded in 2013 to 1,549 between April 2017 and April 2018. It also notes that most of the attacks were witnessed in Somalia, with 879 incidents over the one-year period, while West Africa recorded 36% of the incidents reported. Now, Nigeria had the highest number of attacks in the region at 220, while Mali had 194, Cameroon witnessed 96 incidents. In Southern Africa, 43 incidents were recorded in the Democratic Republic of Congo, with 12 in Mozambique and 1 in South Africa. Kenya was the only East African country with 79 incidents. The report observes quite a number of the attacks in sub-Saharan Africa are inspired by Islamic State's IS, which it says appears to be gaining ground on the continent. Meanwhile, as part of efforts to find a lasting solution to the insecurity issues, Ministers of Defense of the Community of Sahel-Saharan States censored a meeting in Abuja, Nigeria's capital city. The body, which comprises 28 African countries, is expected to deliberate on the threat of ISIS secretly recruiting commanders and other insurgent members into Nigeria and other countries in the sub-region. The Permanent Secretary Minister of Defense, Nuratu Batagarawa, made a disclosure at a briefing in Abuja. She noted that the sub-regional body, which was established in Tripoli, Libya on the 4th of February 1988, has 3 major objectives, which are to promote against member states' cooperation in the field of defense and security, as well as tackle the thorny issues of insecurity across the sub-region.
We all heard about the recruitment of ISIS or whatever. Yes, it's on the table. This is on the top agenda of the censored meeting. It will be discussed elaborately with a view to finding solutions to curbing this movement. Because obviously such movements are probably illegal, are mostly illegal, and government is has taken cognizance of this. The community, the organization itself is aware of this and is already taking a concerted view towards finding a lasting solution to containing this illegal movements and illegal associations, to ensure that we checkmate the transborder crimes in whatever forms, be it terrorism, herdsmen, farmers' clashes, whatever name, banditry, whatever name you want to give it. The idea is crime has no borders. The realization of that has made nations to come together on sub-regional and regional basis to have a holistic look at this issue with a view to finding a common and lasting sustainable solution to the problem.
The Nigerian government and states have agreed to set up cattle ranches in 10 states to end farmers' headers crisis in the country. Now, 10 states which are in the first phase of the national ranching projects are Adamawa, Benue, Ebonyi, Edo, Kaduna, Nasarawa, Oyo, Plateau, Taraba, and Zamfara. Now, this was disclosed at the unveiling of the National Economic Council's National Livestock Transformation Plan as part of efforts to end clashes between farmers and herdsmen. While presenting the plan, the Secretary of the NEC Subcommittee, Andrew Kwasari, said the federal government and states will spend 70 billion naira in the first 3 years of the pilot phase of the program. He also said that 179 billion naira will be spent over a period of 10 years on the national livestock implementation. In a sad turn of events, 3 people have now been confirmed dead after a truck conveying plywood fell off a bridge at Ojuelegba, Lagos, southwest Nigeria. Eyewitnesses, however, reports that a higher death toll was recorded. Now, the General Manager, Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, LASEMA, Additional Tiamiyu, who confirmed the incident, said 2 others were also injured. Now, after the truck fell on top of a commercial bus in the city. He blamed the accident on overloading of the truck, but also warned commercial bus drivers to always endeavor to park at designated bus stops and not indiscriminately. Now, similar incidents at the Ojuelegba Bridge have claimed lives in at least 3 years. Now, one of the cases is currently in court with the relatives of the deceased demanding a 10 billion naira compensation from the Lagos and federal governments, as well as the owners of the truck which caused the accident. In other news, workers of the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, have staged a protest at the agency's headquarters in Abuja over poor conditions of service and redundancy. Justin Uwazuruonye, the chairman of the Association of Senior Civil Servants of Nigeria, NEMA's unit, who led the protest and spoke on behalf of the staff, called on the federal government to investigate their grievances. The workers had last Monday embarked on a nationwide indefinite strike over what they termed maladministration, incompetency, and inefficiency of the correct Director General, Mustafa Mehaja. They are now asking for Mehaja's dismissal.
Our demands include better working conditions, and our condition of service should be improved. And all the agreement we have reached on with the labor from 2017 to now, he should implement them. He has not implemented them. Lastly, all our facilities, working tools should be made available. With the money government has given him, let him use them to make available so that we can work. These are the things we are demanding. Yes, in a situation where somebody is angry, the person can say anything. That is the thing. If I'm angry, I can say go. But if you are doing what is required, we cannot demand for, tell government that they should remove him. But government should look into, want them to come and investigate and know and hear our grievances. He has been going around telling people that we are corrupt. We are not corrupt people. We are not the one corrupt. Let them come and hear from us. That is why we are agitating. If they've called us in to hear our own side of the story, we won't call a press conference.
We write memos with pen in the agency and he approves it. The DG is incompetent. He's inexperienced. He does not know disaster management. He's 13 months old in the agency. We dare him to come and tell the whole world what he has done in 13 months. We do not hate him. We love him so much. We celebrated his coming. He's anti-Buhari as a matter of fact. Because if you look at it, he's the representative of the federal government in the agency. But he's not doing anything, for God's sakes. The agency is being funded every month. Every month. There's money in the agency. If you ask him, he will tell in fairness to the staff, it's not like we don't have money, we have money. So what is the money being sent for? What are you supposed to do with the money? You don't know the job, you do not want to learn the job. Amongst our contemporaries, we are talking about our critical stakeholders, the Nigerian Army, the Nigerian Police, the Civil Defense. They are being paid hazard allowance. In short, their salary package is even better than us, and we do more of the job. If there is an emergency now, we will be activated. Nobody responds to emergency in Nigeria like NEMA.
Meanwhile, in Niger, 10 people have been confirmed dead from a cholera outbreak in the north-central state. The Commissioner of Health in the state, Mustafa Jibrin, confirmed the figure on Wednesday while addressing reporters in Minna, Niger state capital. He disclosed that a total of 120 cases were recorded in 4 government areas of Bida, Kacha, Lavun, and Bako. Still on health matters, experts have urged Nigerians to voluntarily donate blood regularly because the nation blood bank is gradually drying up. They said people should not wait until emergencies to donate blood. This was the consensus in Abuja on Tuesday at a press briefing organized by the National Blood Transfusion Service in collaboration with the Trauma Care International Foundation, CTIF. The event was held to educate Nigerians by debunking myths associated with blood donation and transfusion.
At the end of 120 days, those blood cells, especially the red blood cells that are required especially for patients who have low blood levels, they die in your blood. But when you donate blood, you sort of reactivate the system that manufactures the blood cells. Now, when you reactivate the system, it becomes all fresh, and then new blood cells are manufactured with new strength, new vigor, and at the end, the outcome is that you find yourself living a very healthy and vital life.
We are targeting 10,000 voluntary donors on the 30th of June to come and register. They can donate within the next 28 days, but on the 30th of June, all of them are supposed to go to the various designated centers to register and then subsequently donate. And we are hoping that after they've donated once, they would be able to continue to donate at intervals. And an average man can donate as many as 4 times in a year, and a woman can donate as many as 3 times in a year.
We have seen the need, especially in our nation, our great nation Nigeria, that we do not have sufficient voluntary blood donors. And when we are talking about voluntary blood donors, we are talking about non-paying, non-remunerated blood donors. And the Minister of Health last week pointed out that the blood donation need for Nigeria is on the average 1.8 million. And according to the statistics from the National Blood Transfusion Service, in 2017, just over 31,000 voluntary blood donors were recorded. That is really less than 10%.
The criminal trial of Peter Nwalboshi, a People's Democratic Party senator, began on Wednesday at the Lagos Division of the Federal High Court, with prosecution presenting 2 witnesses. Nwalboshi, PDP Delta North, is facing a 2-count charge of conspiracy and money laundering instituted by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. The senator, who was detained for days by the EFCC, is currently out on bail after Mohammed Idris, the trial judge, released him on self-recognizance. The lawmaker is charged with 2 counts alongside 2 firms, Golden Touch Construction Project Limited and Tuimin Electricals Limited. You're still watching News Now. Up next is Business News. Stay tuned.
People to get only 10 people to register to vote, 10 new voters. Each of us standing here today, when you get back home, when you get to your place of work, your school, try and get 10 new people that do not have their PPC to register to vote. We're going to take on our website onevoice.ng. Please go there, give us the information. If you get 10 people to vote, then you're amongst us.
So at least start start with your voter's card and begin to use that to bargain about the type of person you want to see on February 16, 2019 and March 2nd on the ballot paper.
So we want to focus on people who haven't voted before. It's 100,000 people who are looking to pledge that, because that gives us a minimum of 1 million new voters.
Instead of to say, oh, my vote no go count now. Try vote first, maybe see whether it will count, you know.
You're watching Business News on News Now. I am Annetta Felix. The Nigerian government spent 1.5 trillion naira on capital projects from the 2017 budget. This was disclosed by the Minister of Finance, Kemi Adeosun, in a statement on Tuesday evening. The amount is over 300 billion naira higher than the 1.2 trillion naira released to ministries, departments and agencies in 2016. A breakdown of the amount shows the largest chunk went to the Ministry of Power, Works and Housing, with the ministry headed by Babatunde Fashola receiving 523 billion naira, a whopping 33.10% of the total capital releases. The sector also received the highest release in the 2016 capital budget, which was a total of 307 billion naira, and that's 25.21% of the 2016 capital budget. Defense and Security received the second highest capital release of 197 billion naira, while Agriculture and Water Resources were the third highest with 149 billion naira. Transportation received a total of 126 billion naira, while Health and Education together received a total of 98 billion naira. Other sectors combined received a total of 485 billion naira. Nigeria's power generation has risen to 3,876.9 megawatts, and this is according to data obtained from the Transmission Company of Nigeria. And the country's power generation increased by 1,304.3 megawatts after the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation fixed the gas pipeline that was ruptured on Friday. The TCN also stated that there was a significant improvement in gas supply to the power generating plant following the restoration of the ruptured pipeline, adding that gas was gradually building up in most generating stations. The electricity grid witnessed a sharp drop in power generation on Friday and Saturday, losing 1,087.6 megawatts as about 8 power stations were forced to shut down operations due to the rupturing of the gas pipeline. Oil prices rose on Wednesday, supported by reports of a drop in U.S. commercial crude inventories and the loss of storage capacity in Libya, but under pressure ahead of a meeting of OPEC exporters, which may increase global production. And Brent crude was up 30 cents at $75.38 a barrel, as U.S. crude inventories fell by 3 million barrels to 430.6 million barrels in the week to June 15. Traders said a drop in Libyan supplies due to the collapse of an estimated 400,000 barrel storage tank also helped push up prices. Looming large over markets, however, were meetings scheduled for June 22nd to 23rd in Vienna of the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries with other big producers, including Russia. The Nigerian Stock Exchange again closed in the reds, with the all-share index crashing by 0.15% and closing at 38,605.07 basis points, while the market capitalization stood at 13.984 trillion naira. The market floor today witnessed a total of 4,786 deals, which exchanged hands at 3.826 billion naira. With a 1.85% gain, Forte Oil led the pack of gainers, closing at 35.8 naira per share, followed closely by Eternal Oil, which closed at 7.2 naira per share, and Zenith Bank, which gained by 1.96%. On the flip side, Seplat tops the losers chart, with its shares declining by 4.99%. Other losers for the day include Nigerian Breweries, Cement Company of Northern Nigeria, Guarantee Trust Bank and Custodian Insurance. Meanwhile, the banking sector was traders' delight, with Zenith Bank, First Bank of Nigeria Holdings, Axis Bank and United Bank for Africa having the most traded stocks. That's the latest in business news. I am Annetta Felix. The rest of the news continues. Corruption.
Hello. Alahaji. Right now I'm in Abuja. No. Hello? Adamu. Right now I'm in Kano. Yes. When I get back, I'll just call you. Look, what is wrong with you? I'm talking on the phone and you are gesticulating and doing. What's wrong with you?
Daddy, where exactly are we as we speak?
Are you alright? This is Lagos.
But you just lied to someone that we are in Abuja.
Keep quiet. Who told you can tell an elderly person is lying?
Daddy, you just lied. And by lying, you are raising corrupt children for the future of Nigeria. That is corruption, not in my country.
Corruption not in my country.
Stop corruption now.
Glad to have you back. Now on the foreign scene, the European Union Trade Commissioner Cecilia Malmström has said the Union will launch a raft of retaliatory tariffs against U.S. exports on Friday. The move comes after U.S. President Donald Trump imposed steep duties on steel and aluminium earlier this month. Malmström said American exports such as blue jeans, motorbikes and bourbon whiskey will be targeted. Cranberries, orange juice, sweet corn and peanut butter are among the other goods targeted. Now, it comes amid an intensifying dispute over trade between the U.S. and its partners. Meanwhile, police in Zambia say 10 people were killed and another 10 injured after a dumping site for copper mining waste collapsed in the town of Kitwe in Zambia's Copper Belt province. Now, Zambia is Africa's second largest copper producer and houses operations of many global mining companies including Vendata, Barrick Gold Corp and Glencore. Glencore's Monopani Copper Mines, MCM, has been forced to halt production in recent years due to similar fatal incidents in the copper-rich area, which is also known for illegal mining around the dump sites. The latest incident happened at Black Mountain, where artisanal miners have taken to remining the waste site for copper and other metals. And in sports, Morocco became the first team to crash out of the 2018 World Cup after losing 1-0 to Portugal on Wednesday. The North Africans are now bottom of Group B with no points after losing 1-0 to Iran in their first group game. Meanwhile, Cristiano Ronaldo's first half header also ensured he becomes the highest scoring European international of all time with 85 goals. The Portuguese is now second on the all-time list behind Ali Day of Iran with 109 goals. In the other match, Luis Suarez's 52nd goal in his 100th appearance for Uruguay secured a 1-0 win for the South Americans over Saudi Arabia to move them to the next round, along with the hosts Russia. Now, Lord Sugar has been criticized for a tweet comparing Senegal's World Cup team to sellers on the beach in Marbella. A picture of the team was posted next to pictures of sunglasses and handbags. The tweet prompted hundreds of critical responses, including Twitter users accusing him of racism. Lord Sugar later deleted the post and apologized, saying his attempt at humor has backfired. Britain's Dan Evers has not been awarded a Wimbledon wildcard after he served a ban for taking cocaine. It means the 28-year-old must play in this week's pre-qualifying tournament. The former World Cup number 41 has been in fine form since his return in April and was runner-up in the Nature Valley Open final in Nottingham on Sunday. There were main draw wildcards for 8 Britons, including Katie Boulter, but Laura Robson did not make either the qualifying or main draw list. Well, that's it on News Now, but you can log on to our website at www.tv360.com to get news updates and watch more of our programs. You can also watch us on Facebook at facebook.com/TV360 online and on Twitter at twitter.com/TV360 Nigeria. We're also live on YouTube at youtube.com/TV360 Nigeria, and we're also on Google Plus, and our handle is TV360 Nigeria. Thank you very much for watching. I am Esther Vese.